Okay, so, but these are the dates. You don't have to write them down. You can take them off of here and write them right onto your chart. So you can write them on the sheet just to be sure, but you've got it. You could make a little pencil mark to make a little semicircle for the three that are together on this left-hand side, like I did with the yellow there, so they'd hold together. But you really, once you got them on your chart, you don't need to come back to this. But it's nice to have this sheet marked up and filed. From this point on in your chart, you're going to want a binder or a folder because you have your chart, you have your natal interpretations and your worksheets. Now you're going to have all the transiting sheets and things going on here that fill this up. So I ended up having 2 binders for my study and my chart. So okay, now we're going to go forward a bit further. So this, okay, so this one we're going down the page. We're on the same page, the same sheet, and we're just going down a little bit further. So we finish the Saturn. So look, we get Saturn square Saturn. When it jumps to Saturn conjunct Saturn, my first Saturn return, it only hit once. It was September to October, so July to August. I think July to August of 76. So you'll see here on the graph, July, August 76. 2 or 3 big things happened there. I split up with my girlfriend. I went to a big astrology conference. I was on Death Valley with my father. Okay, who didn't want to go to Death Valley? So that was my Saturn return. But there's something just after, that's the Saturn return. Then the next one, Saturn square, it only hit once too. It went October, November, it only hit the one square. It didn't retrograde or come back at it. So so the next square, you just see the square, October 83rd. My marriage ended. But anyways, there's just October, November 83. That's there. Now, when we come to the opposition, something different happens here that I want you to see. This is why you have to mark up the chart to watch for it, because if it's just a number of figures, you'll lose this. You won't see it. If you're just doing the exact aspects, you'll miss this. And it's important. So you can't just do the ones with exact aspects without missing aspects. Because here, look at 1991, May 10th, Saturn entered 649. It went in to within a degree. Then it retrograded and it left. In May 22nd, it left. It was back at 649. So it went into that degree, came close to Saturn, but then moved away. It never conjuncted exactly. Never exactly hit Saturn, but it was within a degree. So it's as if it's a conjunction anyways, but it's not an exact one. But because it slowed down and stayed within that degree, it stayed there for the whole month. It was a strong point. This would be a significant aspect. It has to be included. Okay, it's the trouble if you're just looking at exact aspects, because the printouts do the exact aspect, exact date, this is there. But if it's an exact date and it's lasting for 2 months, it doesn't tell you. You know, so you can have some exact aspects, the moon aspects will last for 2 hours. You get a Pluto aspect, it's going to last for 3 or 4 months. Sometimes 6 or 7 months. Wow. And they're all just written as if here's the exact aspect on this day. You lose it. You lose your perspective. It's a distraction. It's better to just get used to looking one at a time and get used to this till you know how much room to give. So even if you're doing the exact aspects and you're allowing a month either side of it, you'd get more or less the exact aspects, but you would miss the ones where it's entering and leaving. So these pile up. When there's only one aspect for a square, it's just one crisis. When there's 3 aspects for a square, like we had in 69 and 70, when Saturn squared Saturn 3 times, there's 3 critical times that you have to go through until you've learned that lesson. In 76, I only had to go through 1. In 83, only through 1, but in 91, 92, I had 2. I had the Saturn, the May was the Saturn opposition, Saturn close but not exact, but within the degree, critical. And then it happened, I had the first lesson, and the second lesson came up when it was exact in January 92. And then you have that phase. So there's 2 aspects, but there's no conjunction. So you just see enter, leave. You don't see an exact in between it, but it's still valid. So this is important. This is why you don't want to lose these things. And if computers, you get used to the data and just, oh, I did all the exact aspects, that's it. But when you're working with someone's life and you're trying to see what's going on, and you meet someone and they're it was April 91 and this is just coming up, and you see they got a year before this happens, you're going to interpret the chart incorrectly. You're going to interpret what they're going through and have a distorted time perspective. So this is really important. Okay, this is the, we're getting all this data. The computers will give it to you. The enter leave gets a lot of information, so it gets complicated. You can't just read a chart like this, a sheet like this, because there's 3 points for each one. It's easier to just look at exact aspects, but you're missing some. So when you're dealing with the outer planets, you can't afford to do this. When you're dealing with the outer planets, you got to do this enter leave and mark them off and get them on a graph. Once you've done 10 or 20 of these, or I probably did 5,000, maybe 5 to 10,000 of them, or 5,000 anyways, before computers came along, before even I hadn't done these. I would do this for every chart. The things I'm showing you, I did for me, but you would see which, then certain ones I would do for every chart before I would see the person, because if you don't have the time perspective, you're disproportionate in the advice you're going to give them. Okay, you get obsessed with one difficult aspect in the natal chart, and you get talking all about that. And when they really need to know is what's responsible, what are they going on, what's going on. Saturn is your growing pains, it's your responsible points, the things you have to take care of. It's important to know them. If you're not dealing with it, it's your depression points. But we'll come to this. But this enter leave, this is an important thing to see. You'll see 649 was there, it went retrograde, so entered, went retrograde, came back out of that degree. Didn't exactly hit it, but got close enough. So again, the image would be, you come home, your husband's coming out of the bed, your husband or wife is coming out of the bedroom doing up her blouse. She's walking out of the bedroom door, and then a few seconds later, your best friend is walking out of the bedroom, tucking in his shirt. Well, you didn't catch them in the act, but you got them within the orb where there's no question that something's going on here. Okay, that's a good example of a close, not exact, but close enough for something, for it to be a crisis. Okay? When you're doing when you're using the ephemeris and you're following it down by sheets, you'll see it's within that 1 degree, and you can mark it in. You can see when it gets within that degree, and you're allowing for it, so you just write it in. It just comes naturally. Now, again, so then I just want to I still just mark whenever the main aspect changes. I put a solid line across, and then I highlight whenever there's an exact aspect. Okay, now there's something else happens funny down on the bottom. The bottom line, enter exact. Okay, so I have this drawn in better somewhere here. Yeah, okay, so let's just, do I have it bigger? Yeah, okay. No, I don't. Okay, so here we go. We'll go down to the bottom. There's the enter. We get down to the bottom of the sheet. We see Saturn opposed Saturn. Oh, I'm sorry. I marked this. I put the line in because there was a special effect. Normally that red line wouldn't be there because you have the first Saturn opposed Saturn was February, March 2021. Will be February, March 2021. But then Saturn enters the opposition. It's going retrograde, enters it. It's going retrograde. It hits the exact aspect, 749 on September 6, 2021. Then on November 13th, it hits the exact aspect again. It went retrograde, it went direct, it came back, hit it again. So we have an enter, we have an exact and an exact. And to do this one properly, we have to see where the next one is, where it's leaving. And here you would see November 2021. It has the November 2021, and you see it jumps up to 2020. Okay, 2021, we just back up. Get back to this one. You have to get familiar with ephemeris, so it's your friend. You're used to look. You know what information, you know what you can get out of there. It's just when it's overcomplicated, it takes a lot of focus and it's easy to make mistakes. So working the sheet and once you mark it up, you're never going to have to mark it up again in your life. You have it there. So here we'd have that November 28th, 21 being the next line, and that would be the leaving line. So we'd have from August right through to November. So let's see what I did here. For this was for the opposition. Yeah, February, March 2021, and then August right through to November 2021. It's a much longer phase. That's a 4-month phase where Saturn's critical. That's a long time. That's a big pressure. I got that to look forward to, okay, or to be prepared for. So, okay, this is how you work your ephemera sheets. To go, how are we doing for time? Good. Okay. Now, yeah, this was just going on to the next up to age 90. So I guess I have the next ones marked in. But this just first line on the next page was needed for the next. So that is on 2 pages. You could think it wasn't there if you just had it black and white sheets. You'd miss that. And it's a really important thing because inside that 4 months is going to be 2 really critical dates with the whole time being really intense. Okay, that's where we are. So now, let's see what we got here. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to cover today. So I got room to just gab around a little bit. The idea of these turning points, Saturn marks the big main turning points in your life, the main serious adjustments in our life. We'll go over this again, but it's just, you know, we got 7, 14, 15, we got first teeth, second teeth, puberty, 21, supposedly legal age, 20, pseudo maturity. We got our Saturn return. Then we get through the same cycle again. Once we've done through it once, we're repeating the same. We're going over the same territory again. So when the same things similar things start happening, and it's easy to blame the one time on the time before, on what happened before. So you start to see the connection between the sequences and the connections between these critical times and the phases leading from one thing to the next. And you start to see the story of your life. Let's see. Okay, so for next week, we're going to be using Saturn to Saturn. So you got to get your Saturn. I want your Saturn to Saturn graph done with the dates marked on it. And I want you put little notes of what events were there. If you had some horrible events you don't want anyone to ever see in writing, make a code for it and put it there. And in code, but you want it there. The extreme things, any intense thing, anything significant within there, you put it there. If something really big happened, it's going to happen these times. If it was 1 month out of these orbs, it could probably still be added in if you didn't have something else. It just means you're going slow or fast on the aspect. But I want you to do the Saturn to Saturn. Now, when you get to Saturn to these planets, a different thing happens. Remember when I had the image of we're standing in a room, there's 9 people around you, and you're turning around the room or you're walking around the room. Well, when you're right face to face to one person, that's the beginning. You're really meeting that person. Then when you face to face to the next person, you're not as close to the person before. And as you go to each person, you start the relationship when the Saturn gets to its, when you're looking at when you're conjuncting that person. You know, so if there's 9 people in a room, or as you're turning around, you have 9 different relationships going on, and each relationship really begins when at the conjunction, when you conjunct it. And there's some it doesn't start at the Saturn to Saturn will always start at the conjunction. So the graph will start exactly as this comes. And we got 90 years exactly there. When you're using to the other planets, it doesn't hit itself first. It hits itself. It doesn't hit. It hits the other planets at different times. So I'm going to pull. Okay, let me just get this here.